call comrade Karen, जो साई के रिलीज़ के लिए हमेशा लड़े हैं, हमेशा खड़े रहे हैं साई के डिफेंस में, और वो आई रिक्वेस्ट कि वो अपनी बात रखते हैं.
Salam Sathiyo. Today I am standing here quite reluctantly. I was not sure I would be able to speak, but I also did want to come and be with everyone to commemorate a life that was, as many of you have said, quite an exemplary life. I've known Sai for a long time, and as Nandita said, I've known him from the time he used to crawl. He wore slippers on his hands, and he would, he used to move like that. He didn't have a wheelchair. Even at that time, without his wheelchair, as when he was with his wheelchair, one always experienced Sai as a person of great freedom, a person of extraordinary presence. Sai had that presence, and that presence came from an enormous amount of commitment to what all these comrades have been talking about. A commitment to the idea of freedom and social justice. These sound almost like cliches now, and I, completely agree with Ajay. We are today in a conundrum. We are in a very difficult situation, and the state is not the only entity, in a sense, to think about. Now we know that there is a huge state-corporate nexus. And we know that people have voluntarily given up their freedoms, have voluntarily decided not to think anymore, not to question, to be silent, to be invisible. So we are not in a very good place today. At the same time, I'm reminded of a couple of things. There is this wonderful story by Kafka called In a Penal Colony, and it describes how we are literally inscribed with the logic of power. When Sai was arrested, one of the first things I thought is that he is going to become an exemplary case. Who can arrest a 90% disabled man and keep him without an acquittal, without bail? But they did it. They refused to grant him bail, and he got acquitted after he was kept in jail for upward of 8.5, almost 10 years. Almost 10 years he was in jail. They did it, and they did it in the face of the outrage that this caused. And I think one of the reasons why Sai was picked up, apart from many others, is because of what he came to articulate in the university. And we in the university were at that point, this was the pre-urban Naxal days. The term urban Naxal was then invented to deal with people like us, who in some ways, like Sai, quite unfit for any kind of armed struggle. Probably will be the first to go down, but yet stood like a wall. So it was not just a thought process, it was a process of collecting individuals. It was a process of solidarity formation, but it was also very importantly an expression of our need, all of us, to reclaim a lost space. अभी अब अगर आप देखेंगे तो everywhere Adivasis are being killed. Now they have drone technology, they have surveillance technology, they have, they can kill with a great deal of finesse. The whole point of development in the regions is to actually gain access to resources, gain access to minerals. It is not about development. We know that. But at the time when the protest against Operation Green Hunt began in Delhi University, all of us together with Sai, at that time this logic was not so clear. So to spell out exactly what it is that the state is invested in, what kind of development, for whom, why these projects, why are schools being occupied, why are hospitals being occupied by paramilitary forces. तो ये सब सवाल पूछ के जो है Sai, I think, he was very, very determined, and he was the center of much of it. Along with this, there was the whole, the changes that were happening in the university, और हम अभी इस समय एक term को ज़्यादातर इस्तेमाल करते हैं, that's called precarity. And we think about the ways in which our lives are so precarious. We never know कब arrest होगा, नौकरी कब चली जाएगी, will you have something the day, when will your neighbor turn on you? All of these kinds of forms of unsettling precarity have become part and parcel of our lives. And it was the part and parcel of Sai's life. Sai never knew when he would be arrested. And days before he was arrested, he said that the FIRs have been filed, and it was just a waiting game after that. When they came and raided Sai's house, they did it twice. The first time they raided his house, they simply took whatever they wanted. There was no procedure followed, nothing. And that was one of the remarks that the High Court made in its, when they exonerated Sai. There's absolutely no procedure followed. But this whole idea of keeping people off balance, and when you keep people off balance, they find it difficult to organize. But I would say, like my colleagues have said, when you are off balance, find somebody else's shoulder, find somebody else's hand, and stand in solidarity together. There are too many differences. There are splinter parties. There are small ego, issues. And there are serious ideological differences, that's one thing. But I think it is time to realize that unless we stand hand in hand like a wall, we will, like the Palestinians, simply be driven over. And it is actually terribly sad when I think about the way Sai's body broke down. That was, in a sense, the sugar-coated death sentence that he spoke. This is a death sentence. The problem with something like UAPA is that the problem with something like prison itself, you invisibilize, you silence, you quietly kill. And I think the biggest issue now that we are facing is that all these institutions are slowly becoming open-air prisons. आप कुछ बोल नहीं सकते, आप कुछ कर नहीं सकते, आप कुछ लिख नहीं सकते, आप इधर जाएंगे तो आप किससे मिलने जा रहे हैं? Surveillance इतना ज़्यादा हो गया है. And worse, we have begun to surveil ourselves. We have begun to censor ourselves. And this is actually the most tragic and perhaps the most sad part of what is happening. तो जब हम कहते हैं कि आप डर के आगे निकलो, pass through your fear, to acquire courage is sometimes a decision. It is not necessarily an emotion. It is a decision to stand and remain standing at all times. And for that, I salute Sai, I salute him, I salute Pandit Arote, I salute all of those who are within jail and who are every day working to transform these open air prisons. You can't go to Jantar Mantar, you can't go here, you can't go there, you can't. We are actually approximating a prison. To transform these spaces, to reclaim it, to again make noise, to make the words our own, to recapture discourse, to take back language. We have to have courage and we have to have solidarity. We have to have solidarity. So, my young friends, actually it is to you we turn now, because you will find the way forward. It is you who will find the way forward. So with this hope and with these words, I salute Sai, I salute everyone who has come here, and I hope that we will stand together.